Hey everybody, and welcome to another tutorial brought to you by the Minecrafters. I'm Captain Jack, and in this tutorial we are going to be talking about modular force field systems by CalCavia. Alright, now I've divided this tutorial into two separate parts. The first part we're going to be talking about the projectors mainly, and that's the physical force field. And in the second part we are going to be talking about interdiction matrices, and that's mainly for system security. There's three main blocks that you're going to need to start out with this mod. The first one is the Coercion Driver, the second one is the fortron capacitor, and the third one is the force field projector, which actually makes a force field. The Coercion Driver is going to be crafted with a bunch of steel, some RE batteries, and these things called focus matrices, and that's crafted just like this. And these are going to be used extensively throughout this entire mod. That's how you craft the fortron capacitor, and finally the force field projector is crafted just like this. Now, those are the only recipes I'm going to show you right now. We're not going to go into all the different modules and all of their recipes because mainly they're all exactly the same. There's a little bit of wiring that you'll need for this mod, but you have NEI too, just like me, so you should be able to figure it out. The first thing I want to note here is that these machines can take MJ, EU, or joules, and that's universal electricity energy, which maybe not everyone's used to, but it can take a bunch of different varieties of power. The first machine we're going to talk about is the Coercion Driver, and this is going to basically convert energy in whatever form you choose to give it into this thing called fortron, the power of the gods. Okay, inside here, these machines are all look really complicated, but I promise you they're not. Let's go over the board real quick here. This machine has a maximum input of 120 volts. It will send power to all MFFS machines on the same frequency. It has two settings, derive and integrate. Derive will convert power to fortron, and integrate will convert fortron back into power and shove it back into your system. Also, you can provide this machine with lapis or nether quartz to increase the amount of fortron it produces by 20 times, so that's very useful. One thing that a bunch of these machines can also use is this thing called a frequency card, and pretty simple to make. There's that... that's copper cable. Anyways, the frequency card can be used to set the frequency. You can choose one randomly by shift right-clicking, and that will give you a random frequency, just like that. And once you have your frequency, so that's set on 6, you can shift right-click on your machine, and that will change the frequency to 6 inside. And that's an option that all of these different machines have. Pretty useless one, but it's there if you choose to use it. All right, now inside this machine, we have a little redstone signal up here on the right, and if I flag that on, I'm going to start producing fortron because I'm hooked up to an MFE, and you'll also notice that the machine turns blue and has a nice little graphic on it. This is where the frequency card goes. This will tell you the amount of EU, MJ, watts or volts that this machine can take at a time. It will tell you if it's on or off, so idle or running, just like that right here. And you can also provide this machine with a bonus multiplier. Now, if I turn it on, we have 800 joules a tick coming in now. If I put this nether quartz in here, or if I had put lapis, it's going to increase to 3.2. So that is an absolutely massive amount, a massive energy gain. And despite the fact that this nether quartz might be hard to come by, it is going to be very useful in your use with MFFS. Now here's the derive or integrate functions that you can use here. And right now I have it on derive, and that's going to use power from my MFE and turn it into fortron down here. And if I were to change it to integrate and turn the machine on, it's going to lower and it's going to fill this MFE back up. So it's going to dump all the power back into my system, okay? Works just like that. If I switch, it's going to take it and it's going to move it back and forth. Now the first of the modules that we are going to discuss are the speed and capacity modules. The speed module in this machine can be placed here, and this is where all the upgrades go, as it says. And this will increase the bonus multiplier that quartz or lapis gives the machine. And the capacity module, you see that just dropped down there, drop a bunch in there, will increase the capacity of the Coercion Driver by 10 kilojoules per capacity module. Very good. For the safety of your network, all of these machines cannot be broken with a regular pickaxe or with anything else. You have to use a wrench on them, and then furthermore, if you want to secure them even more, you're going to have to use some interdiction matrices, which we're going to talk about in the next episode. Next, we have the fortron capacitor, and this is kind of energy management or power management, and this is going to send power to all of your other MFFS machines, and it can be sent in a variety of different ways, 4 to be exact. This has a default distance or minimum or maximum distance of 15 meters, which can be adjusted by using these scale modules. And all these modules, as you'll find out very soon, can be kind of used interchangeably, and they have different effects on different machines, which is why I can't just go over them one by one. So if I take this out, it's going to change to 15. If I put one in, it will change to 16, and that will send power to other machines based on how I have it set here. Now again, I can change the frequency of these, and I'm going to go ahead and change this frequency to 90 right now. I'm going to change this machine to 90 as well. Okay, and what you'll notice is that when I turn this machine on, a nice little blue shiny graphic will go from one place to, or from the driver to the capacitor, and it's going to start slowly filling up this machine. This machine can also take upgrades like its previous one, and like almost all these, I think it's all of them actually, all the machines in MFFS. You can use the speed module, and that's going to have an effect on where this sends power, and the more speed modules you have, the higher the transmission rate, and that's affected by right there. So the default is 250 joules, and it will raise by 50 each time. The capacity module will change the maximum capacity of the capacitor right down here by 10 kilojoules, as we already discussed. So it's going to go from 700 to 710. Well, it was jumping back and forth there. Let me come out. There it is, 710. And the scale module is going to adjust the range. So the default range is 15. I have one scale module in here, and that's going to increase the range that this machine can send power. Okay. So I have it turned on, slowly generating fortron, and I believe actually the speed multiplier right here. No, it doesn't really send it much faster. In any case, you have a bunch of different settings here, and if I could see that properly, let me type in a bunch of stuff here. It kind of gives you a tooltip, and it's kind of descriptive, but it's still difficult to understand sometimes. There's mainly just 2 different settings that you can use. There are 3. You can equalize, so spread the fortron energy with machines based on the machine's capacity percentage. So equalize is based on capacity percentage. That's all you need to know about that. Distribute is based on the total energy amount. So it's going to spread the fortron based on how much energy is available in the system. Drain basically just drains all the energy out of the capacitor and equalizes them to link machines. Now we're not linked to anything, so it has nowhere to send it, but that's what that does. And then finally fill. It's going to fill this machine totally up, and then if it has excess, it's going to send it to other machines. You can put the frequency card in this machine as well, and you can also use a link card, and you can put it in there, and you can link this machine to other MFFS machines at ridiculous distances away, basically totally negating the need for scale modules. Okay, and I don't think I'll show that, but that just is what the link card is if you look in that mod folder. One thing before I go any further that I forgot to mention is that there are 2 different MFFS mods. One of them is an older version, and this one's been around since Tekkit Classic, or maybe earlier, I'm not really sure. It's been upgraded a lot and updated, but this is the very latest version by CalCavia, and he has taken over the mod, and this is what we have. So these blocks look really cool, and this version is very cool. Okay, so this is power management. This will increase the transfer rate by 50 joules each. This will increase the maximum transmission range, and this one will, the capacity module, will increase the amount of energy that this block stores. Okay, so this is going to use power, or going to take power from this machine here and send it to all of your other machines, like the Forcefield projector. Okay, and that's what we have here. Now we'll quickly take a look at this. It's a fairly daunting screen, but we're going to go over this kind of hands-on in just 1 second here. You have, again, a space that you can flip this on. Now it's not on the same frequency as these other 2 machines, so if we go ahead and change this to 90 and turn it on and have this transmit evenly, okay, it's going to slowly start building up fortron. This red number here in the bottom right is going to be the amount of energy that your force field is going to take to maintain, kind of per tick. Frequency spot here, place for frequency cards, place for a link card if you so choose. just like that. You can put a link card and a frequency card if you want. Do whatever you want. And right here in the center we have mode, and that is for all of these different lovely shapes here. You can make a cube, you can make a cylinder, you can make a sphere, you can make a pyramid, or you can make a tube, I believe that's called, or you can do a custom, and that goes right here. And then we're going to talk about all this stuff right now, and this is for stuff like this. Upgrades. Upgrades go here. It doesn't say it on this one, but upgrades go there. If I fail to mention it, you see how it says south on this machine here? That's going to really play a huge part in how you set these up, and you're going to notice it deep into the mod once you start playing with it. And you can use a wrench in the machine to change that right there, and that's just kind of which direction the machine is facing, and we'll go over that, I promise. Let's just read the sign real quick and move on. Your force field is a highly customizable and versatile piece of machinery. You can use it to create impenetrable walls or create and destroy structures. Now we'll take a look at what the other modules do and how you can apply them in game. Alright, now way up here above the tutorial is the testing grounds, and right now you can see that I have a sphere, and that's being projected from that projector there. I have my derivers over here, and then I have my capacitor here, and the capacitor is sending power to the projector, and you can see it's all flowing in a nice one direction type of way. I'm going to leave my sound on real quick here for a second, but you can hear that these make a very cool sound, and that's something that you can actually shut off if you don't want to listen to it. It's pretty cool though, so I'm not sure why you would. Alright, here we go. Now, I have the sphere mode, and that's where the modes go, as we said, put into this projector here, and you can see it disappeared when I removed it, but if I go ahead and put this back in here, what it's going to do is it's going to slowly form the sphere up on top, and that's where we'll talk about the speed module. Now inside here I have a spot for upgrades, and if I go ahead and grab some speed modules, which I have none of right now. Can I get a stack? Yes, right here. So if I go ahead and throw like 64 speed modules in there, if I take this out and put it back, see how it formed almost instantly? That's what the speed module does to this machine. The capacity module simply will increase the maximum capacity. Actually, no, it'll just cause trouble down here. I don't think you even want to put that in here, so don't worry about that. One thing we will talk about is these translation modules, and these are really important for a bunch of different reasons, and don't get them confused with the scale modules, which we'll talk about in a second. Basically what this does is this grid around the outside here is a place for, actually you can put overflow upgrades inside of here, but it's mainly a place for translation modules and a couple other things. And what this does is it, you see it says up, front, right, left, back, and down, and that has a direct correlation with the south here, which is which direction the machine is facing, which it all looks the same, so you can't really tell. And that's going to affect the position of your force field. So I have this directly above here, and that's because I have it 11 blocks up. So it's projecting my sphere 11 blocks up because I have these translation modules. If I were to go ahead and put a few more of those in here, the force field is going to form up even higher. If I take half of them out, it'll come way down here, really close to my head, a little bit too close. Let me put a bunch of these in here, and then let's send it a bunch of degrees back here. So you see that it moved a little bit over here, and that's just how you can move your force field all over the place. So it doesn't necessarily have to be directly around your projector. So that's something really cool that you can do. So you can use translation modules to move your force field in any direction that you want. If I go ahead and take, let's say, a pyramid, which might not be the traditional pyramid that you would expect when I make this thing here, it's going to create it a little bit differently, just like that. Okay, kind of cool. And all the other ones kind of do similar things, and we'll talk about a few of them in a couple minutes, but that's kind of what the modes do, and there's all of the modes. We'll get into custom a little bit later. The scale module will basically directly affect the size of your force field. So if I go ahead and grab some scale modules, and let's go ahead and change back to, let's say, Well, let's do a cube. I'm going to put the cube back in here. And I change, see we have a cube of this size. Let me put the speed modules back in there, make it generate real quick. There's my cube. I have a couple scale modules in here already, so if I cut it back, it's going to make a very tiny cube. If I add more in there, it's going to make it back to a larger cube, okay? So that's what the scale module does, fairly self-explanatory. Now I can also use a bunch of other different things, and these are kind of cosmetic, and I'm just going to discuss these. The Camouflage Module can be used, as you might expect, just like the older MFFS, can be used to camouflage your, there we go, big block of what looks like quartz, but is actually force field. It'll just change the look of your force field based on whatever block you put in there. Not all blocks work, but that's what the Camouflage Module does. Very cool. The Shock Module, it doesn't look any different, which is a difference between the other one. It will shock you if you get too close to it. Now I'm in creative, so it's not going to shock me, but it's going to cause a lot more damage than it might normally. Let's see what else we got here. The Silence Module, all the noise goes away. Okay, there we go. The noise disappeared. I may have jacked the sound down, but it does. Okay, noise comes back. The Glow Module is supposed to make the force field generate light or give off light. I'm not sure why it doesn't look like it's doing it here. I can't really make that happen, but that's what it's supposed to do anyway. And finally the Sponge Module, which will do no good if I put it in there. The Sponge Module will take any liquids, water or lava mainly, and basically just absorb them. Get rid of them, sponge them up, they'll be gone forever, and that's going to be really, really useful in one of the many creations that you can use with this mod. So those are those modules there. There's also the Dome Module, which will kind of cut off the bottom of your force field and make a dome, and it won't go underground. The Rotation Module does weird things to your force field. I really can't think of a use for it. I'm not really going to show it. It will bend and contort all of your force fields into ridiculous shapes. And the Invert Module will basically take, let me see if I can show you what that actually does. I think if I take the invert there, you can see that it's a solid block now. Okay, so it's going to take like the negative space inside where the force field was and make it totally all force field blocks. Okay, it's going to take a lot longer to form that way, but that's what the Invert Module does. Alrighty then, moving right along, what else do we have in here? Speed, capacity, we talked about those. Field fusion, let's take a look at that right over here. This is pretty neat. Basically what it does is it allows two force fields to fuse together, hence the field fusion. And so I have a cube mode set here, and that's this big thing you see around me. And then I have a tube projector right here, and that's kind of breaking the force field. And if I was to remove, where is it? The field fusion module, you see that this closes up and they become two separate force fields. But when I go ahead and put the field fusion module back in there, it opens up a nice, neat little door for me. All right. Next, we are going to start getting into the really, really awesome stuff in this mod, and that's custom force fields. Now, we nailed everything on here, as far as I know. For these blocks, yes, except for these. We'll talk about those in a minute. Alright, a custom force field. What can you do with this? Well, the best way to do it is just to show you. I have a little anchor here, and now let me go ahead and grab, let's say, some dirt or stone. Okay, and what you can do is you can make custom force fields, just like it says. This behaves almost like World Edit or MC Edit, not World Edit, if you've ever used it. And what you can do is, well, first of all, let me show you this. Let me get a new custom module. Yes, there's one up there. And there's two separate modes that you can use on this. If you right-click, but while clicking in the air, it says additive and then subtraction. Additive will add to your force field shape, and subtract will subtract it. Basically, it's just easier to redo it. So I'm going to keep it on additive. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select 2 points in space, the first one being here. And then I'm going to remove that block because I don't want that to be part of my force field. And then I'm going to go ahead and click these up here so I can capture the entire shape. I'm going to right click here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift or sneak right click, and then it's going to save my structure. So if I go back up to here, my testing zone, and I put in my custom module, what it does is it makes a really neat anchor. And it's a little bit broken, and that's because I have the scale module in there. I guess that's worth showing too. It will distort the force field. But there you go, very cool. I have the scale module in there. I can then go ahead and take, let's say, a camo module, put that inside there, put some of this in here, and I can make what appears to be a solid anchor. Now you see I'm missing a couple blocks there, and that's because I don't have lights in this box. Let's see, white decorative lamp. Let's see if it fills it in if I drop these babies in here. Let me reset it. This mod doesn't work with all blocks, which is having a little bit of a hard time with these decorative lights. But there we go. It recreated the image of my anchor. And that is because I have a chest next to here with all the same blocks that is made up of, excluding, of course, the decorative lamp. So that's something very cool. You actually don't even have to have that in there. It will still make it as long as you have an adjacent inventory that it can pull from and decide it will recreate as best it can whatever shape that you have made, okay? So that is the custom force field, and you can do a lot of neat things with that, and we are going to look at that. Alright, so here's where the mod really starts to shine. If it hasn't already, then it's going to get better and better. What I have here is a nice little bunker. Let's say this was your house, okay? And what I've done is, see this breaks? Oh, it's so sad. What I've done is I've taken the custom mode module and I have captured this entire house that I'm living in. And what I've done is I've programmed it into this projector. Now, if I was to project this like this, I can make a very customizable force field, and it looks just like this. It's the same exact thing. But what if I could make this house real? I'm a real boy. Okay, that would be awesome, and you can actually do it. And it's done with the Field Stabilizer module. As long as you have all of the resources needed to construct the target that you've set for yourself with the custom module, this force field will build it for you. So if I go ahead and put a Field Stabilizer module in here, you can see that it will start assembling the house. And it's going to use all the blocks inside of there, and it's going to put this thing back together based on the parameters that I've set, and voila, I have a rebuilt house. So that means that if creepers or Chief Diesel is bothering you with TNT or something like that, and your base starts getting blown up or griefed, you don't have to worry about it because your base will automatically rebuild itself if you have your MFFS projector set up. So that is a very cool function of this here. You can also generate absolutely massive structures like this pyramid I have right in front of me. You're just going to have the resources to do it. If I go ahead and flip this on, it's going to start building this pyramid, and that's going to take a long time, even with a bunch of speed modules in it, and it's going to take a absolutely horrific amount of power, 7.66 kilojoules per, and you can see that I have a lot of speed upgrades in here, so this is happening very quickly. But what this will do is we'll assemble a hollow pyramid for you, and if you so choose, you could use the invert module, and you could fill this entire space full of nothing but whatever blocks that you wanted to use, okay? So that's very cool. You can basically make your force fields come to life, which means that you can capture a space, almost like blueprints. You can capture a space in time, you can set it to memory with the custom module, you can put it inside your force field, and you can completely rebuild your structure with all of the materials that you used to make it the first time in a totally different location, okay? So that is the first awesome thing about this mod. Alright, now the next awesome thing that you can do with this mod is that you can tear down your structures and save all the resources from them. So this force field is projecting the image of this thing, and it's actually real blocks, which it will try to repair all the time. You can tear it all down with the Disintegration Module. Now before you go ahead and use this Disintegration Module, make sure you create a Collection Module. And what this does is it will allow all the blocks that the force field collects to be placed inside an adjacent inventory. So if I go ahead and replace the field stabilizer module with the disintegration module, we're going to see what looks to be red lasers, and that's going to suck all of the blocks from the structure back into the inventory here. So you can see that there's more stuff coming in, and it's taking down the entire structure. So those are the other two modules that you can use in conjunction with this, and again, they can be applied in some really awesome ways. All right, one other thing to note before we move on is that you can make this thing called a remote controller. That's right here. And you can go ahead and put this inside one of your machines in the frequency spot. And what it will do is it will latch onto the frequency. This is a driver. And then you can right click and, oh, there we go, shift right click. And you'll be able to access the driver from farther away than normal. Okay, so that's just one thing that you can use. You can use this to turn on and turn off your force fields from a distance if you're outside of the range. So I can go ahead and turn that off from way over here. And this has a lot of applications, and you're going to have to think of those by yourself and be creative with it, but that's a remote that you can use in conjunction with this mod. Now, the force manipulator. If nothing else in this mod impresses you, then this is going to impress you. This is the pinnacle of awesome right here. And this is a very complicated block, and it's difficult to get the hang of at first, but I promise you, if you play with it for enough time or long enough, you will get the hang of it. It will take a little while, though. What this basically allows you to do is it will allow you to move your force field. And if you have learned anything from the past 20 minutes of what we've been talking about, is that means that you can probably move real blocks, okay? And you can. Let's go over this GUI real quick here. We have this right here, which will pulse a redstone signal, and that will behave a little bit differently once it's hooked up to something. We have a bunch of different modes. This one kind of does nothing. This one needs to be enabled to move your blocks, and this one will kind of make an outline of the movable blocks. And this is just to set an anchor or no anchor, and we'll go over that in 1 second. This block, you are going to need this too. If you right click on the top here, you'll be able to change the direction of that this force manipulator will actually move its blocks. And right here you have the frequency so that you can load it up onto a network. So if I load this onto frequency 90, you'll see that it's going to load up for these machines, and it's going to start filling up with energy. And despite the fact that this machine is on or off, it's still going to suck power. If you do not want this thing to suck power, you're just going to have to change the frequency and take it off of the network. This block also has a spot for modes, and you can go ahead and put any of your pyramid mode, cube mode, all your modes in there, the sphere and the tube and the cylinder and the custom even, and it will determine which blocks this force manipulator is going to move. So it's going to manipulate your force fields in an absolutely incredible way. And the best way that I can show you is by actually moving something for you. And if I go ahead and look inside of here, and if I flip this on, let's say to that mode there, and we go ahead and take a look over here, what I built is a little ship. Okay, and you can see that there's a graphic happening here, but nothing is actually moving, and that's just telling me which direction the blocks are going to move in, which is in direct correlation with the east-west, up-down, north-south configuration by wrenching the top of the machine. And it will tell me, it will outline every block that's going to move there. Okay, so we can see that it looks like this whole thing can possibly be moved. So let's say I go into this and I grab a timer, and let's grab a lever too. Timer, lever. Now this is very rudimentary, but it'll work. Okay. You saw it there. It happened. Let me lower it. Let me flip that lever. Let's go ahead and take a look at what happens when we manipulate our force fields. Okay. What you get is something born out of the depths. And this is going to move my little spaceship around in time and space, and it's going to be able to go up, down, left, or right, depending on the configuration that I set in the Forcefield Manipulator. And this is, it creates basically an absolutely fantastic amount of possibilities for practical applications. Let's go ahead and turn this off. Let's go ahead and wrench this in the top. It's facing east right now. We're going to right click it with a wrench. We're going to make it face west. We're going to go ahead and repulse this. It should bring it back. Yes, it is. Oh, it ran out of energy. It requires an absolutely enormous amount of energy. And something bad just happened there. So you can really mess up your world, as we just saw. That actually hasn't happened to me yet. But the way that you manipulate your force field, and let me go ahead and grab one. I think it just moved beyond the maximum range, so that's something you're going to have to account for. The manipulator is basically going to set an anchor point. And once you lock in that anchor, so this is no anchor and this is anchor. Once you lock in that anchor, and after you make your force field, so let's say we throw a cube in here, we're going to throw a translation module. Let's throw the cube up in the air a little tiny bit. Let's hook this onto a network, 20. Let's see the outline. Let's go ahead and find it. There it is, right up top there. It's only one large. So let's go ahead and take a scale model. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Where is it? It's going to take a second. There we go. Okay, so that's my force field that I want to manipulate. I can move this thing back and forth through time. And then what I can do is, if I grab, like, let's say an angel block, there's really no way to quickly go over this without actually physically doing it. I'm going to put an angel block right there in the center, and that's going to be inside the grid that this thing is going to capture. So let's say I take this, make this a little really odd shape. Let me break that. Okay, so that's all inside the capture area. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the direction that I want to move it in. So west, I think we'll go, might go backwards. And then I'm going to switch this to redstone mode. I'm going to pulse it, and it's going to move those blocks. Okay, so very cool. Pulse, let me hit it again. Pulse moves the blocks. Okay, so that's what the manipulator does. It basically creates its own force field. It's like a projector, except it just moves things. And you can do a whole bunch of stuff with this. Let me just show you one really cool way to do it, and then I'm going to end this tutorial because it's way too long already. What I have here is basically a mining machine, and hopefully Ingram will be working on a massive MFFS mining machine very soon. What this thing does is it basically uses a whole bunch of things that we've already learned about to go ahead and move through space with whatever this is, and it's going to capture these blocks. There's a force field in front of it that you can't see. I have it set to it's going to absorb any liquid in its path. It's going to disintegrate anything in its path, and it's going to collect everything in its path. So it's loading everything up inside of this enter chest, and this is going to go for as long as I say it's going to go. And you can control this remotely. You can control something like this with computer craft. The possibilities are virtually endless, and we'll go ahead and make a massive machine like this that will basically be the destroyer of worlds. You can make it faster than a quarry. You can disintegrate huge portions of the world and suck them all into your system and create some really awesome things. So not only can you move things like this ship here, but you can almost replace your quarries because it's so much faster. You can make force fields, you can keep people in, you can keep people out. And we're going to talk about in the next episode how to secure your network so that anyone that comes in range with it gets stripped of all their inventory. You keep all their inventory. And how do you set who you want to come into your force fields and who can play with them and who can look in your inventories of your, like, let's say, Applied Energistics and so on and so forth. So much great stuff in this mod. The possibilities are virtually endless. I wish I had done a tutorial on this mod earlier, but in any case, here it is. MFFS by CalCavia. This is Captain Jack. I am one of the Minecrafters. Check out our social media outlets listed below, and as always, stay poised.